Hello and a very warm welcome once again to you, my dear student. This is your Sir Hassan going to teach you chapter number 12, History, that is India gains independence. But before I teach you or before I begin teaching you with the chapter, once again reminding you about the portion for your final exam. I've already completed with the 4 chapters of civics. I'll try to bring the camera a little closer, my dear students. These are the 4 chapters which I have already completed. Chapter number 3, the Union Executive. Chapter number 4, the Indian Judicial System. Chapter number 5, the State Government. Chapter number 6, Bureaucracy. In history, I completed chapter number 8, that is Civil Disobedience Movement. Chapter number 9, last phase of struggle for independence. Chapter number 10 is not there. Chapter number 11, struggle for equality. And today I'm going to begin with chapter number 12, that is India gains independence. But before that, let me tell you, chapter number 13 is there, fulfillment of struggle for independence. It will be there for your open book assignment and for your open book test. Okay, my dear student. And the last chapter, formation of the state of Maharashtra. So total in all, you have 10 chapters for your exam, out of which one will be for your open book test or assignment. So for your final exam, you have to study 9 chapters. One, that is chapter number 8, chapter number 9, chapter number 11, chapter number 12, and chapter number 14. 13, you don't have to learn anything by heart. And in civics, 4 chapters, chapter number 3, chapter number 4, chapter number 5, and chapter number 6. So total in all, the lessons which you have to study, chapter number 8, chapter number 9, chapter number 11, chapter number 12, chapter number 14. And in civics, chapter number 3, chapter number 4, chapter number 5, and chapter number 6. I hope it is very clear, my dear students, before I begin with the next topic. And if you have any doubt, I always keep mentioning that please give me a call, ask your class teacher to do the needful. I just give you some time, so you get an idea to see at the whiteboard. You can take a screenshot if you want. But I'm very unhappy with many of you because you people are not really watching the video. There are very few students who actually give me a feedback. Nothing more to say. I will directly start with chapter number 12. That is India gains independence. So the date today, 1st March 2021. So I have 2 more chapters to explain you, which I'll finish it by 15th of March. Again and again, I'm reminding you, better please complete your notebook. One of the days I will ask you to please drop it in school. You don't need to come, you need to send it across with your parents. But please, better. Hello and a very warm welcome once again to you, my dear students. Let me begin directly with chapter number 12, that is India gains independence. Let me tell you, my dear students, that independence was not served to us in a golden plate. If you remember the 3 movements that Gandhiji began with, when we discussed about the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, and the Quit India movement, there was a momentum where the people came together in order to fight or drive away the Britishers from a country. Vice versa, if you remember, on the other hand, the Second World War was going on. The Second World War began in the year 1939 and ended in the year 1945. The Second World War was fought for a period of 6 years. It was at this time that the Britishers realized that it was not possible for them to fight the war and continue to have a control over India. And that is where they decided that they would give independence to what are called as to the Indians. It was here that the Indian National Congress, if you remember, was found on the principles of secularism. That means all the people of various caste and religion were welcome. But at the same time, the Britishers, though, wanted to give independence to India, but it used the policy of DNR. So, what is DNR? If you remember, I have mentioned it even before, the policy of divide and rule. And it was on this basis that in the year 1930, or prior to that, if you remember, the Muslim League had already come to in power. It had already been established. If you remember the three roundtable conferences as to why did it fail. In 1930, a poet by name Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, he put forth the thought of independent Muslim state, and later on, which was supported by Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. It was also supported by a formation of the new state was also supported by Barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who later on became the first Prime Minister of independent Pakistan. Are you getting it? The meaning of the word Pakistan is Pak means holy and Stan means a state, a holy state. How far it is Pak and how far it is a holy place, you all know better, my dear students. So the whole concept of giving independence to India, though the theory was being put forth by the Britishers, but the concept was very clear that they are going to use the policy of divide and rule. And keeping this objective in mind, what did the Britishers do? In the month of June 1945, they sent to India Lord Viii. Lord Viii was sent to India with a plan. Now, what was this plan? That the Indians would be given an opportunity to form their own government, but it would include the more members in the central and provincial legislatures. In fact, both the Hindus and the Muslims, along with the Dalits, would be given equal opportunity, and for which all-party meeting took place at a place called as Simla. You all are aware with this Shimla or Simla, whatever you call it as. Today it's a hill station. So meeting of all the majoritical parties in India was organized at Simla in order to consider the Viii plan. But Barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah, please remember this name, my dear student, Barrister Muhammad Ali Jinnah did not, accepted the idea, because he believed that if the Muslims were to take part in the elections, the names would be suggested by the Muslim League party. Please remember this. Who supported the formation of the Muslim League party? It was supported by the Britishers. Why did it support it, sir, the formation of the Muslim League party? Because it wanted to create the divide and rule. And because of which, my dear student, to a great extent, what happened? The Britishers succeeded. The Muslim League did not accept the proposal where the Indian National Congress can nominate the name of the members who will stand for the provincial or central legislature. And because of which, Lord Viii plan was being rejected. And not only that it was being rejected by just the Muslim League, it was also rejected by the Indian National Congress. Why, sir, it was rejected by the Indian National Congress? Because Indian National Congress was a secular party. It was established with a view and an objective to give equal opportunity to all the peoples of all the religion. Let me tell you, my dear students, that even today, India is a secular nation, which means that people of all faith, people of all religion are treated equally in our country, that is India. But what happened, you need to understand, my dear student, that the Viii plan was a big failure. Neither the Congress and neither the Muslim League supported it. And finally, what happened? There was, after the end of the Second World War, there was a change in the government of Britain. It was that a new Prime Minister came to the power whose name was Attlee. In your textbook, it is just mentioned Attlee, but his complete name was Clement. Clement. Write the word cement and after C add L. The name of the Prime Minister of England at that time was Clement Attlee. A new government was being established. He was the Prime Minister. And what he did, because the Wavell's plan was a failure which he had sent in the month of June 1945, of which a conference was organized, but this meeting or conference failed. Now please remember this name. Who was the Prime Minister, sir? The Prime Minister of England was Clement Attlee. Now what did Clement Attlee do? That is very, very important that you need to understand. Clement Attlee sent the delegation according to which the constitution would be recognized and it would be formed and the minorities issue will not come in between. In the year 1946, a delegation of 3 members, again see, 3 members, Teen Ka Funda. Please remember this, my friends. 3 members were being sent to India. So who were these 3 members who were being sent to India? It included Patrick Lawrence, okay. The second name it included was Sir Stafford Cripps. So Sir Stafford Cripps, Sir Patrick Lawrence and Sir A.V. Alexander. Okay, these 3 people were sent to a country with a mission, and this was called as Cabinet Mission Plan. Now please try to understand, my dear student, what was sent, who was sent in the year 1945? Lord Wavell was sent to a country. But the Wavell plan was been rejected at the Shimla delegation or conference. Later on in 1946, a 3-members team was sent by whom? By then the Prime Minister of England, whose name was Clement Attlee. Who were these 3 people, sir? Sir Stafford Cripps, Patrick Lawrence and Sir A.V. Alexander. Now when these people were sent to India, they had sent them with an objective that this cabinet missions, they will not come in in the interference of what called as a minority issue. But this plan was not acceptable to the Congress. Why? Because it did not mention anything in clear as to what the plan was all about. And at the same time, the Muslim leagues were also not satisfied. Why they were not satisfied? Because it did not make any provision of independent state. It did not mention anything about what? About a separate state, that is what called as Pakistan. Please try to understand, my dear students. What was decided? It was very clear that nothing would come in between the way of independence of our country. But the Congress was though willing to accept independence, but not on the condition of separate state, that is Pakistan. But on the other hand, the Muslim League was adamant. What they were adamant? They were adamant to demand for a separate state, that is Pakistan. And therefore, on the 16th August, you need to remember this, my dear student. On 16th August 1946, the Muslim League announced a direct action plan. And what was this direct action plan? There were riots, R-I-O-T-S. There were riots in many parts of the country. And because of which, if you remember, when the direct action took place, though you can say that before independence itself, see 16th August 1946, before independence, the Muslim League resorted to violence. And there were riots, danga, war, fight between whom? Between the Hindus and the Muslims. And a place by name as Noakhali, a Noakhali region, Gandhiji had to personally go there for what? To resolve the problem, or rather to try to establish peace in this place so that the violence can be stopped. Are you with me, my dear student? So what happened is the Britishers were successful in dividing the people of our country, where they had sowed the seed of divide and rule. Are you getting it, my friend? But what happened after the direct action day, the Viii plan was being rejected, you need to understand there was establishment. There was an establishment of the interim government. So what was established? An interim government was established. Now, with the blaze of violence, that had arisen in the country, Lord Viceroy, please remember this name, my friend, Lord Viceroy Viii. If you remember, he was being sent to a country where the Vii's plan was being rejected. It was decided that the country, or rather the Indian people, can at least form their government. But the clearance was not given. Though the clearance was not given that the interim government would be established, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru participated in it. Initially, the Muslim League was not willing to participate, but then later realized that if they did not participate, what will happen? They will not be able to achieve their goal. And that is why they decided to join the interim government, not with the objective of helping so that the government could be established, but in order to obstruct the work from within. Are you with me, my dear student? So the Muslims were not willing to give up their demand of separate state of Pakistan. I call it as Papistan. On an average, every day there is a bomb blast. Thousands of people have been killed. I'm sorry to say this word, my friend. Though it is called as Pakistan. But how far it is Pak and how far it's a good state, you all know, my dear student, what it is happening when they are sending the infiltrators. Are you getting it, my dear student? Now let me talk about the next plan, that is Mountbatten Plan. I hope I'm able to clarify your doubt, my friend. Now please remember this, my dear student. Lord Mountbatten was the last Viceroy of India. And finally, under the leadership of Clement Attlee, it was finalized that the Indians would be given independence and all the powers would be transferred to Indian before, that is, in the month of June 1948. Independence would be given, but all the powers. See, it was not easy that they got up in the morning and they said, come on, take this independence and we are going back to our country. So what did they promise? The Britishers promised. And who was it? The British Prime Minister Clement Attlee. Who was the last Viceroy of India? Lord Mountbatten. So Lord Mountbatten made it very clear that by the month of June 1948, all the power, all the transfer would be given to whom? It would be given to what called as to the Indians. And he was appointed the last Viceroy of India. Now when Lord Mountbatten had a discussion with the prominent leaders, he prepared a plan now of two independent nations. Please remember this, my dear student, which was seen, totally not accepted. You imagine that your country is being divided into two. And this was not acceptable at all to the people of India, and especially to the Congress party, the party which was secular by nation. But even the Congress and the nation and the people were left with no option but to accept the decision of partition, my dear student. If you want to see the scene, the riots that took place, please watch the movie Gadar of Sunny Deol and Amisha Patel. And a very beautiful song, you would have heard it somewhere. O main nikla gaddi lekar, raste par sadak par ek mode aaya, main utte dil chhod aaya. A very beautiful movie, that is Gadar. Watch it, my dear students. If you remember, the Gadar was also a party. And finally, what happened, my dear student, you need to understand that though a country got independence on the 15th of August 1947, but what it was with a choked voice, it was with a heavy heart that we accepted the partition of the country, because we were helpless. The Muslim League and some of the Muslim people were not ready to give up the demand of a separate nation. And that is why finally a country got divided. That is India and Pakistan. Is it clear to you, my dear students? Now let us look at the next important topic, that is Indian Independence Act. It can in short form called as IIA. Okay. Indian Independence Act on the 18th of July 1947, on the basis of the Mountbatten Plan, the British Parliament, as I mentioned, handed over, accepted the policy of divide and rule. What will happen? The two countries' nations theory was accepted. And finally, on the 15th August 1947, a meeting of the Constitution Assembly was going on in the hall of the Parliament House in Delhi. And it was at the midnight, at the stroke of the midnight hour, where a first Prime Minister of independent India took over the responsibility of delivering the speech to the nation. And what happened in the midnight? The Union Jack, the flag of the Britishers, was being brought down and an Indian tricolor was being replaced. What we can say in a simple line, my friend, the independence that we were struggling, the Britishers who were ruling us for almost 150 years of slavery, gulami, came to an end. And it was this joy of attainment of freedom, though it was, was untinted. The Indian people were grieved, they were crying. And why they were crying? Because of the partition that took place, that is between India and Pakistan. Though Gandhiji was striving hard to work between, trying to bring about equality, trying to bring the Hindus and the Muslim people together, especially in Bengal, the Noakhali province that I talked about. Gandhiji was brutally assassinated just after, imagine, 6 months of independence. On the 30th of January 1948, what happened, my dear student? Gandhiji was brutally killed. And who assassinated him? It was Nathuram Godse, the man who laid down his life for bringing about unity between Hindus and Muslims. Finally, what happened? India did gain independence, but at the cost of divide and rule. And who sowed these seeds, my dear student? It was the Britishers who did it. And they were successful with their plan. Are you with me? In the next chapter, without wasting much of your time, my dear students, I had a complaint from few of them that, sir, your videos are too long, and that is why I said, let me consolidate and let me be a little faster this time. But I hope you understand this lesson. And finally, the 150 years of slavery, gulami, came to an end. And finally, on the 15th of August 1947, the tricolor was being hoisted and Union Jack was being brought down. India gained independence. Please remember this, my friend. On 15th August, we celebrate Independence Day, and the 26th of January, we celebrate it as Republic Day. So what is the difference between the two? 15th August, we got independence, and the 26th of January 1950, our constitution came into force. Please remember this, my dear students. Many of you get confused. I hope this is clear. As I mentioned, the next chapter, that is chapter number 13, I will use your textbook page. This lesson is not there for your exam. You don't need to study. I'll give you the notes. It will be there for your open book, assignment and test. I hope I'm very clear. 2 more chapters for me to go before the 15th of March. I assure you that your notes, your explanation part will be completed. On the 15th of March, I need your books to be complete. And maybe later on, I'll tell you a particular day and a date where your book needs to be dropped and it needs to be collected back again, maybe on the same day. Please like and subscribe my channel. If you have any doubt, please take down my phone number from your class teachers. I hope your concepts are clear pertaining to the chapter India Gains Independence. Thank you. Have a good day.